All right, welcome back to In the Workroom with Manny. My guest, Rachel Reider. Rachel, I have always referred to you as one of the OGs because the original gangsters. Because the truth is, and some people know this. I've mentioned this many times, but everything you see here in this new workroom is very much because of you.
It's very generous to say.
It started with Katie, which led to you, and because of you, it led to, I think, most of the clients I have today. So I am forever grateful that everything you've done for me, and I don't even know how many years it's been. It's been at least 13, 14, 15.
Well, I remember visiting you for the first time in your parents' basement.
I know. So it's been at least 15. But we've done so many wonderful projects together. We've had so much history. I remember, we did, I don't know, at least 7, 8, 10 boutique hotels together.
Yeah, I think we're up to almost 22.
Wow.
But yeah,
wow.
time flies when you're having fun, right?
Jeez. And early on, you know, I was measuring, installing, manufacturing, doing all that stuff. And early on, for me, it was, those boutique hotels were so exciting because I never wanted to let you down. I wanted to be, I always loved when you would say, Manny, I don't worry about you, I worry about, you know, all the other stuff.
That's true.
But for the most part, sometimes we need some correcting too. But we used to get so charged up about getting ready for the hotels, right? It was so exciting. And then we would build up so much excitement. We would review everything, so much detail, and then we would go like a gang up there to, you know, wherever it was, Nantucket, you know, up to Maine, here, there, everywhere, and get these hotels done. I always loved those. But
I did too, especially in the early days when I feel like
yeah.
it's like you and Vasily and George,
Yeah.
and we were all on site usually, and not ideal conditions.
I know.
But you guys always made the best of it.
Yeah.
And we had a good time.
It was exciting. We had some fun nights too.
We did.
And when Tricia used to work for you, that's the other thing too, is that over the years I can say is that I've fallen, I almost said in love, but like a sisterly way, but with your team, because you've always had great people working for you.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah, and it's still the case today. And I've always enjoyed working with your team. There's a couple things I was thinking about when I knew we were going to sit down together that I want to talk about with you. Starting with, of course, the history, right? I mean, we've been together for so long. I will never forget, I was working on a project for you for this family in Cambridge, and we happen to be doing their second home now, right? Mm-hmm. And about 10 years later. And you have a very unique style that's different than everyone else we would do work for, in a great way.
I was just going to say.
In a great way. No, but you can always see in the workroom here when a Rachel Reider project is rolling through the workroom, it's different than everybody else. It's unique. It's a fabric we've never seen before. It's a trim combination that we've never seen before. It's something special. You can always tell. You can always tell.
That's really nice to hear.
Yeah, because it's easy to, and I think these days of, and I think the New England designers do such a good job of supporting each other, I think for the most part,
for sure.
Is that you can tend to kind of follow a similar trend. And there's nothing wrong with that because every home I go into is beautiful. But a Rachel Reider home is special. But I went to that home because the homeowner is moving a couple pairs of drapes to the new house. Mm-hmm. Mostly because, but the minute I walked in that home, it looked like you were there 2 weeks ago, you know? And the living room in particular, I remember was the red cheetah fabric. What's it called? Yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to remember the name because it's French and I'll butcher saying
Yeah. I know.
Yes.
But you had combined that red cheetah fabric with a leather trim that had nail heads on it. And I remember when we were working on it, I was like saying with my mom, I was like, we gotta call Rachel. I wonder if this is right. You know, I wonder if this is the right combination. And then we showed up, and the room had a lot of yellow in it.
It did.
But the way it all tied together was amazing.
Well, thank you. Stay tuned for part 2.
Part 2 is going to be amazing.
It's going to be pretty spectacular.
Yeah. No, I went there last week, and I think when this podcast comes out, that house will be just about
It
ready.
will.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
So
April.
I can't wait to see it done.
Me too.
And yeah, it's going to be spectacular. You could tell.
It
It's a
is.
special home.
It
It's a
is.
special home.
It is.
The other thing I was thinking about with you in particular was when I went to grad school, I had this teacher who really didn't like me in the beginning.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, no, he was a tough, tough cookie. And I didn't prepare for a business case one day, and he called me out on it to go present, and I looked like a complete jerk. And he told me in front of everybody, he's like, you're gonna amount to nothing. He's like, how dare you show up in my class and not be
Look
ready?
at you now.
Well, it's because of people like him that put a little fire under your butt
Sure.
But then we became friends, and I took another one of his classes, and I aced it, and which was rare for me. I wasn't a very big A guy, but I was for him. But he said to me, Manny, no matter what you do, you got to stay new. And it always stuck with me, and I was like, that's the simplest saying. But I thought about you, and you do a great job of that. You do a really good job of staying new. I don't think, just by seeing that project in Cambridge, that design was classic. That home looked like I said, you were there 2 weeks ago. But I also remember a trip to Paris you took, and you do a lot of trips to re-inspire. So I want you to tell us a little bit about how you use these trips to kind of energize yourself and inspire yourself.
Sure. I find travel to be hugely inspiring. I know
Yeah.
that's totally cliche, like the answer every designer gives you.
Yeah.
But I do, not only because of sort of what I'm seeing and taking in and gathering ideas, but also I find when I'm traveling, that's when my brain sort of shuts off just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I find it's in those moments where you have the space to sort of have that deeper creativity. It doesn't even need to be traveling somewhere exotic. It could just be like a beach vacation. But
Yeah.
fortunately or unfortunately, my brain like never shuts off. Maybe that's part of being a business owner. But it's finding those times to sort of make room for those bigger ideas and creativity that I think is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I remember when you went to Paris. When was that? That was like 4 years ago, 5?
I was very lucky. My sister in a past job had a conference over there every
Yeah.
November, and so
Yeah.
for a couple years I got to go yearly and tag along with her. So it's probably been
okay.
5 years since I've been, but
Okay.
yeah, I had a pretty good spell going there yearly.
I remember every time you'd go there, it always felt like you came back with, like, I remember you went there one time and we started doing a lot of open weave fabrics, you know, and it felt like something you may have thought of or come across. And I was admiring your Instagram when you went to the UK recently. It was, but you don't go just to the trendy places. Or I noticed, Rachel, you got into the nitty gritty. You were in parts that, I don't know, I'd certainly never seen before, but is that still like a good source of, getting the creative juices going and being inspired by certain things?
It is, for sure. Like the tourist attractions are interesting and you have to go and check it off the list. But luckily some of these locations, I've been to previously, and so for me it's much more about like a cultural immersion. And in London, one of my closest friends lives over there, so I was lucky enough to have my own tour guide who introduced me to some of those areas. But one of them was Columbia Road, which is definitely like off the beaten path, and they do a flower market there, and there's a bunch of like antique shops and little home good shops, and it was so much fun, exploring, and I don't know, if I hadn't been traveling, I could have done a lot of damage. But it's true, whenever we travel, my husband or whoever's with me thinks I'm crazy because I'm taking pictures of these like teeny little details, or, we always joke of like touching the walls and, all these things that I think designers see from a different lens. But yeah, there's tons of even just little details that I bring back with me that then inspire larger things.
Yeah, you can see it. I mean, in my line of work, I tend to look more at the functionality than the beauty. I can't appreciate it as much because my biggest concern is getting the length right, getting the width right. How are we going to hang it? How's it going to fall? How are we going to sew it? How are we going to build it? But then I get to go into a projects like yours, and you get to see it come together. You know, the artwork details.
But I think you bring a lot of innovation. I mean, every time I talk to you, you're like, we bought this new machine. It's going to be really cool. Now we can do this. Now we can do that. You know, or I don't know. I feel like you're constantly sort of reimagining and taking the workroom to the next level.
Yeah, and I think about the staying new all the time, you know, because it's big for me as well. Like, you know, it's true. Some of the equipment we bought has helped us. One piece of equipment, actually two of the three pieces we bought are currently down right now, which is not ideal. But
I guess that's part of innovation, right?
Part of innovation, yeah. No, they needed some adjustments, and one of them we broke ourselves, and one of them broke on its own. But for the most part, those machines have been really, really helpful. Another part that I've always admired about you, Rachel, is that you design. You not only design with guts, but you design with confidence. I am a very anxious person. All right. I hide it pretty well, but what keeps me up at night is, you know, are we executing the way we said we were? Were we there on time? Did we do it right? When we make a mistake, did we address it right away? Did we guide the designer and their team in the right direction? So I think about those things a lot. But in one other podcast I was filming, we were talking about, Erin Gates was talking about starting a podcast called Hot and Anxious, right? Which I thought was a great name.
Yep.
And she's always talked about how she's a very anxious person. You, though, run steady.
Well, I'm glad it appears that way because that is not the actual truth to it. I'm a pretty anxious person as well.
Really?
I mean, I think part of owning a business, maybe it's inherent in that because you're always sort of juggling so many different things. So I'm thrilled to hear that I come across that way. I mean, I think I'm even keeled in terms of how I react to things, but there's definitely so much going on up here all the time.
The only time I've seen you react where I was a little scared was, no, it was rightfully so, was when we were working on that, those hotel projects, you never knew, like there was always that last minute challenge, right? And there was that one contractor who was...
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It was in over his head. We'll leave it at that. It was in over his head, and he couldn't handle the project, and he lost control of himself. And I was just kind of hiding in the corner, just hanging a drape or something like that. But you let him have it a little bit, but rightfully so. But that was the only time I've seen you. I would never say lose your cool. You just were honestly defending.
I was pretty fired up. But remember, he was ready to like throw a saw at me. Yes.
It was some sort of tool. He was ready to toss you away. But that's. I'm gonna say something I shouldn't say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Those projects were never the same after you and I stopped working on them together. Well,
thank you for saying that.
And they know it, I know it, and you know it. It was a tricky spot for me because those projects became a big part of our yearly workload.
Sure.
And you were gracious and kind enough to say, hey, Manny, you know what, we're not working with them, with that certain company anymore, but you can still help them out. And quite honestly, it was a failure. It was a failure, and I have no problem saying that. It's the truth. Because your team, what you guys brought to that was you brought a schedule, you brought talent, you brought everything went according to plan. And it also made our lives very easy. The minute your company stepped out of there, it became extremely difficult and quite honestly somewhat disorganized, and it just didn't go according to plan. We did everything we could to help them out.
No, of course you did, and I'm sorry for your sake that you were in that situation. There's
that's
so much I could say, but I won't.
No, I know. That's and we can edit that part out if we want to. But
no, I think I always say part of being a designer, everyone thinks it's so glamorous, and I do. I absolutely love my job, but I think about 10% of it is designing, and the other 90% are, the details and the logistics, and there's so many moving pieces.
Yeah, no, it's extremely challenging. And the way I've always told everybody in here is that I get to see the designers from the nitty gritty side. You know, for us, it's just window treatments, and pillows, you know, and cushions. Okay, great.
And headboards.
And
You're the
headboards.
headboard
Headboards.
king.
Sometimes.
Does
yes.
everyone know you're the headboard king?
Back in the day, that came up because we were making headboards for the hotels. We
Yes.
still make them every now and then. Vasily and the gang are really talented at that stuff, and I think they love making them when the challenge comes. But it's a big piece, you know. So you have to make it, build it, look at it, and then you have to put it somewhere. So, but luckily we have the room now. But Rachel, for 2025, right? It feels like things have slowed down, but they haven't, in my opinion, because I think what's happened is it's come back to normal again. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's given me not sleepless nights, but it's concerned me a bit, you know? I think that our industry, the design industry, the home industry had such a crazy spike after COVID in mid to late 2020, that I think it finally cooled off in probably 23, 24 maybe, and now it's normal again. And I think it's been so long since it's been normal that it feels slow. But it's not.
agree.
But it doesn't. It's not necessarily slow. It just maybe just steady.
Yeah,
right?
no, I totally agree. I
Yeah.
had that moment a couple weeks ago. I was talking to another designer, and
Yeah.
I said, you know, I don't know what the next year is going to be like.
I know.
And she said, do you feel that way, you know, because you're actually slowing down, or
Right.
because you've just been going at such a crazy pace for the last almost 5 years?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's true. I think that there's probably going to be like a coming back to normal, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, changing course a little bit from what we've gotten used to.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it's been a hard adjustment for me, but I've always been blessed in that. You know, just when we think, like, you know, you and I have, I think, the biggest project in the history of our workroom coming up this spring.
We do.
And for that family again, and I'm so excited to do it because it's an amazing project. It's an amazing home. So I have these things that I look forward to. But construction is interesting right now because we had a number of projects that were due in November, December that got shifted to January, February. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's consistent that all these projects kind of have a shift to them. But, you know, good quality work takes time.
It does.
It does.
It does. And I think there's, you know, we're seeing across the board less subcontractor work, and so that's become a problem in terms of meeting deadlines. And I mean, this time of year is always a crazy time of year. Everyone wants to be in.
Yeah.
You know, I say either people want to be in for the holidays or they want to be in for Memorial Day.
That's
Those
right.
are like our two big
That's right.
deadlines in the industry.
That's right.
So this is always sort of a crazy time of year.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to this project in April, it's going to be pretty incredible, and I feel like the draperies in particular and the pillows are just going to be stunning.
Yeah. I had a friend recently who, you know, the dreaded friend work, right? This wonderful family said to me, Manny, do you have a designer you would recommend, right? And it's always tricky. And with this family in particular, they had a very traditional look. They had a two-door house, and they were wonderful people. And I told them, I said, I'm always hesitant to do that because then I put my name on it, you know. And I said to him, I said, I'll recommend someone, but you have to trust in them 100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, but in that client relationship, and I can see it with that project we're working on for the spring, they know you and they trust you 100%. And the project we have coming up in Newport, that's the third place for that family. Repeat work is everything for us, right? And here we are, 2 projects. It's everything for me. If I let you down, or any of our mutual friends, I can't stand it. It sickens me. But you know, there's a level of trust there, and luckily, so I recommended these friends to a wonderful designer, a local designer. She's awesome. Her name is Jessie Sheehan. She's a sweetheart, and she's a really good designer. and they really hit it off. And I see these people often, and they trusted in her 100%. They gave it, you know, and I think that's a key part, right?
It is. It's so important.
It's
I
everything.
say that all the time, and that's
Yeah.
why, you know, when we do get to work with clients over and over again, I find that what we're able to create becomes better and better. Like
Yeah.
we have a client we've done 9 homes with. I think you've done at least.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking
7
about.
or 8 of them.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember they started out the first home in Stowe, and it felt very Pottery Barn-esque,
Yeah,
let's say.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
she
yeah.
wanted to do like white and light blue and maybe
Yeah.
a little sage green, and you know,
Yeah.
5 or 6 projects in, we were doing a teal lacquered kitchen. And you know, I feel like the more you get to know them, the more you understand, you know,
Yeah.
how they like to live, how their family likes to live, their design aesthetic. They're willing to push the envelope a little bit more,
Yeah.
be a little bit more daring because there is that trust there.
Right.
It makes the job go smoother, and I think it's more enjoyable for everyone.
Yeah, no, that you could feel that in the you could feel that especially in the project in Cambridge. You could feel like they're all in. You know,
They are.
They're all in, and I love it because you know it's going to come out great.
It is.
I feel like when I walk into these projects, I can read them. You know what I mean? They have a soul to them, and that project you can feel it. It's gonna be awesome. One thing I like to do on these podcasts is to get to know you, Rachel, a little bit,
Oh,
right?
gosh.
Okay.
What's coming?
No, not in a bad way, not in a bad way, but like some of the little things, right? Like these days, do you have time? I know you're a mom first. You're an amazing designer as well. What do you do for Rachel? Do you have time to do some things for Rachel? Like, what are those little things that you like to do for yourself? When I was growing up, I used to go with my mom for her nails every Friday. And I would sit there in the nail place, and you know the ladies would always joke around with me. And then I became older, and they would slightly hit on me a little bit, which is always a little awkward. But we would, you know, I'd watch Mom.
You'd get your nails done too?
Not me. I did
Manny,
sometimes
you were
dip
missing
them.
an opportunity.
I know, right? Yeah. Sometimes I'd dip them in that. I don't know if they still use this stuff anymore. It was like this pink
The
stuff.
nail remover.
I don't know. No, it was like
Yeah.
a cream or something. You used to dip your hands in. I don't know. Who knows what the hell that was for? I was probably
All
messing
sorts
with
of chemicals.
all sorts of chemicals. It was back in the 80s, so yeah, who knows what was in there. But what do you have time for yourself these days? Would you have any time to do for Rachel?
Not much. Every
Not much.
year, my New Year's resolution is like self-care,
Yeah.
and every year I seem to fail miserably at it. I do love to travel. I'm an avid reader. I
Oh,
read.
really?
Yeah, I have to read before bed every night. It's like the only way I can sort of
Oh, wow.
transition my brain from 100% daytime to trying to fall asleep at night. So
Okay.
do a lot of reading. That's not that exciting though.
What are you reading these days, though? What's your go-to?
If my kids make fun of me because they're
Mine make fun of me every day,
Oh
by the
yeah,
way.
they make fun of me for many things every day. But I am like 200 pages into a 400-page book, and they
Oh.
said the title of it, and I'm not even going to remember right now. And they're like, "How do you not know the name of the book that you've read 200
Well, the
pages?"
title doesn't necessarily tie into the story,
Yes, it doesn't. It's a very good book. It's by an author I really like, and I don't need to get into the details, but anyways, it's this flight that takes place in Sydney, and this psychic stands up and starts predicting to everyone when and how they're going to die.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, the first 2 deaths actually happen, so then everybody starts freaking out, and then they actually start, like, changing the course of their life to avoid, like, when they're supposed to die. And so I'm only halfway, but
That's
makes
exciting,
you
though.
think.
I don't read enough. I wish I tend to just read some articles, and you know, I occasionally I have a Wall Street Journal what's it called, membership, but it's mostly just so I can say I have a Wall Street Journal membership. But I do read
That counts for something.
It counts for something. Every now and then I read something good from there. But yeah, I know what you mean about the self-care. I decided this year to hire a trainer, which
good for you.
which is great. So I see him 4 days a week, and he's wonderful. He's wonderful. I still don't eat that well, but it's okay. I'm not.
Well, I feel like we're always on the go.
I know.
and
I know.
Good food is just so tempting.
I know. And that's actually one of the highlights I always remember going somewhere with you in particular, and sometimes Tricia would be along back in the day. We always ate well, right?
did,
It was
yes.
always something good.
I always say work hard, play hard.
Work hard, play hard. We never really got to. Maybe a couple times we got rowdy and had
Crazy
some good
Manny.
drinks. Yeah, crazy Manny. Yeah, no.
But we were like trapped on these islands,
yeah.
like in the middle
Off
of winter.
season,
Again,
yeah.
like everyone thinks it's so
Yeah.
glamorous, but we were in Nantucket in February, and
Yeah.
there was like one restaurant open.
Yeah.
And
It's so served like cold pizza or something like that. Yeah.
but we still had a good time.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. When you have, like, what's your go-to food? I have a lot of them. So, I grew up. My dad had a pizza shop, right? And there was nothing like Macca's Pizza. It was in the Framingham Mall. It was Greek-style pizza, but it was really good. And it was good, like, hot out of the oven. It was good sitting for an hour. It was always pretty good. It was greasy.
That's what you guys should do for your next event. I'd love to try Macca's
Macca's
Pizza.
There's a couple pizza shops in the area that make a very, very similar Greek pizza to us.
Okay.
I try not to eat too often, but every now and then a good slice of pizza is really good. I like all types of pizza. And then I love cereal.
I like cereal too.
What's your go-to cereal?
This isn't so exciting, but it's my big thing. Like after an event, when I get home and I
Okay.
haven't really had dinner, but I'm still hungry,
Okay.
I have a bowl of Life cereal.
Life cereal with the cinnamon.
No, just plain up.
Wait a minute. Not cinnamon. Mikey was the one who liked Life, right? Mikey?
Maybe.
Weren't those commercials
Yes.
with Mikey? You remember that? Yeah. Mikey likes
Managé's
it.
like,
Mikey likes it. I have a lot of go-to cereals. My dad used to call it Raisin Bran Raisin Brains. So Raisin Brains. Sometimes just straight up Wheaties is good.
okay.
All right? I was never one of those people to put sugar on my cereal, by the
No.
way. I feel like that's like a total psycho move. Like it has enough in it. Like you know those people that used to put sugar on their cereal? Yeah, no, that's nuts.
Yeah, no.
Weird. Really weird. But like a go-to is like Lucky Charms, terrible for you, but really good. And an Apple Jacks was an
Oh, Apple Jacks are good. I forgot
Apple
about
Jacks
those.
are-
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, I never ate anything. So cereal was like, kept me alive. It's probably why I am the way I am today. No, Rachel, like I said, I look forward to 2025. You're certainly one of my top accounts, and
You might get in trouble for saying that.
yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. You know.
Well, we love working with you.
No,
and,
I love working with you guys too. I can't wait for those projects to happen this year, especially the one in Cambridge. But I see, just this week I'm going to frame. So on our wall over here, we frame all of our work that's published through the designers we work with, and I have your home, which I'm going to go have framed
nice.
from, I think it was in Boston Home, right?
Yes, this month.
Yeah. I have it on my desk. I got to go have it framed up, but
I decided I was my own worst client.
it's doing work for
It's
yourself is
hard.
really
It's
hard.
very
It's
hard.
really hard.
Yeah.
I actually have a set of drapes that I made from a fabric we used on one of your hotels. Rania saw it, loved it, so I made 2 1.5 width panels, so we bought 9 yards of it. And it was, I forget which one it has, like, it looks like scales, but it was in green. I can't remember for the life of me what project it was, but green feels like an in color, by the way. Do you think?
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's having a moment.
Yeah, I have a green watch band, which I love.
And you have your
I have my
green Yeti.
solo
Yes.
green Yeti.
You're very well coordinated.
Yeah, I felt good today. Yeah, like I was telling you before we started, people were picking on me for my outfits in the past, so I had to go.
It's hard to put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's hard. But last thing, Rachel. This is where I was going before, and I forgot. You have a lot of great videos and photos when your new office is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
We forgot to mention that. But you're always laying things out and looking at parts and pieces. Tell me about that process, because I'm not a very creative person. I can figure things out. But how do you know that it's going to work? How do you feel it? Like, you just feel it, or you see it, or you visualize it? Because you lay out some amazing things. Like I said, like I was saying before, I can always tell when there's a Rachel Reider project working through its way through the workroom.
Well, thank you. It's definitely a process.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as a puzzle. Like I start out with so many different things, and then I'm just moving pieces around till it all feels like it comes together. Because it's not just like the style and the fabrics, but it's also about durability and you know, the client's lifestyle. And so you have to have the right furniture piece with the right fabric, and there's so many moving pieces, and so it's really just putting things in, taking them out, and moving them around to feel like we have the exact right combination.
Yeah, yeah. No, that I always like when you post those photos, because I look at them and I say, oh, you know, look at that tile, and look how where's that fabric coming from? Is that a couch, or is it a pillow? Is it a thing? It's
also probably helpful for you to see like the larger scheme, because otherwise you get all these fabrics and you're like, how, why?
Yeah, well, that's exactly, and that's been an issue in my world, is that every now and then, products will come in, and you always wonder if someone cut us the right product, right? You know, is it the right, you know, did they send us the right colorway? Is it the right pattern? You know, but yeah, it all kinds of, you know, luckily it only happens a couple times a year, but you know, yeah, to see it all come together is certainly special, and being part of your team to do that is an honor.
Well, thank you. We feel the same way about you. We couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah. So no, thank you, Rachel, and thanks for coming down.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right.